Are you saying that there cannot be a 24-hour policy? We cannot have a policy which is about a 24-hour economy. Is that your proposition? Is that what you're saying?
Okay, I can answer your question, but I want to ask you, 24-hour economy to do what?
No, just answer the question because I'm listening to you.
Yes.
And I keep hearing you say that it cannot be a policy. You cannot have a 24-hour policy.
I didn't say that.
What did you say?
What I'm saying is not.
My neighbor has said, PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV, dear, or see them, yupo.
Mema wakwaba ediba PENDREAM TV so make sure say obe subscribe to channel no click bell so say the news to our sabi to me aka ntem no watie afa so sure say obe like na wa comment no share ama afoforo so nsaka na comment section ho so no pese o kire wa adwen abetimi e de wa adwen kire ato honom na manfo so anya bia kenkan na onim say PENDREAM TV de eye nsem a ekoso Ghana yam politics yi mu ne de ba na saka ya ne de abranti na so me video I saka pese no che na ye de ba nti me mo modern astro so obe video we amana si awie na wa kire wa adwen e comment section na se yenko video
24-hour economy. It's a scam. You explain, bring one to me, bring down Paris, bring everybody. It's a potluck of issues. You cannot simply begin where you are supposed to end. You must begin to get to the end finish line. You have not begun. Everything Sami talked about, the balance of it was about fiscal policy, right? If you are talking about incentivizing production, what is that? It's fiscal policy. If you are talking about incentivizing production, you are talking about giving people tax breaks and government using its purchasing power to drive demand, it's fiscal policy. Now the question is that where is the money going to come from to do that? If you are cutting taxes, okay, how does that affect your revenue? Already we're talking about tax ratio to the GDP as being very low. So if you are saying that, then we need to have a conversation about what tax policy you are considering. And even so far, I've been reading, I think I've read the 60-point policy ideas that the former president has issued. There is nothing there that talks specifically about what tax policy. Okay? So if you are going to do 24-hour economy, that's not where you begin. That's the end point. Now let's have a conversation about your fiscal policy that will get you there. Tammy is talking freely now about, government is the biggest spender, will use its purchasing power. Are they not the same NDC who is talking about cut expenditure? Which expenditure are you going to cut and then have the same expenditure to be able to drive that government purchasing capacity to drive demand? It's simply not there. So, because they don't want to have this hard conversation about what is the fiscal policy, because all of these things, the 24-hour economy you're talking about, is a product of your fiscal policy. So, where is your fiscal policy measures that you put in place so we can vet that and say that it will get you there? The last time you were in government, Sammy, your government was taxing all over the place. All over the place. You are about today making argument that, MPP is taxing. The reason we're taxing now is based on the circumstances we're in. But you were just taxing from head to toe 24/7. And when we came, we repealed about 15 of the taxes that you put on the books and reduced about 4 of them, altogether 21. So the conversation is not about 24-hour economy. The conversation is about your fiscal policy. Dr. Bawumia, in his statement, gave you a fiscal policy proposal that points you to a place that tells you that when we come in, what we are going to do to ensure, one, that tax payment is broaden the tax base, is to get to the level where we flatline the tax rate for everybody at a certain percentage that will cut across board. So therefore, business can plan. It's predictable for them to plan their production and their imports if they have to do that. So that is a tax proposal that, for me, gets you to a point where you can drive production. So if you want to incentivize production, show me your tax policy that will get you there. You are not talking about that. To talk about 24-hour economy before talking about how you are going to get there is to say, you trust me, I'll do it. You can't do it. Why? Because we know your record, Sammy. We know your record in this country. So you have not been good managers of the economy. And so this whole end game about 24-hour economy is a scam. It's deceit, complete deceit. The last text you read talked about what? We can build a sugar manufacturing plant. You have to get there to build it first before you can make it a 24-hour economy. You have to do that. So the conversation about 24-hour economy is about policy. What policy will lead you to creating the demand that you now to create a 24-hour economy around? You talked about, asked me the question about why is it that London has a night tube? They have a night tube because people are demanding the tube in the night. You understand? You want to run your tube when people don't want to go anywhere. But because there is a certain environment that allows for economic activity to carry on in the night, that people are able to move at that time. So you get from a point A to point B. See, there's a reason why God made it so that you don't give birth to a human baby and the baby just starts walking today. It has to progressively grow. So first of all, show us what is it you'll do to give you the standing to be on your feet, to start walking, to start running, to start talking, and to start reasoning and engaging about things in life. You don't just come and tell us 24-hour economy. You're talking about it having been on the books by NDPC whatever time, and why is it that it wasn't implemented the last time you were in government? Because the thing is not on its own a policy that you just go and lift from somewhere and come. It is you, the lawyers, who say you can't put something on nothing. You have to have a policy that holds the 24 hours. The demand, something you say, is there. Where is the demand? Whose house is the demand now as you speak and the person is not letting it out? It's a function of policy. So you have to drive. Now, if you're talking about a government that is seeking to attain that 24-hour economy, it is this government that is driving industrialization to say that in all districts where there's potential, we'll explore that comparative advantage in that place and commercialize that or create industries around those potentials in those districts so that they become ventures that people will get employment from, production will grow there, and that process is underway. Now I see in your 60-point thing, you have started copying the one district, one factory, except you're calling it regional manufacturing hubs or ecosystem that you're calling it. That's fine, but that's where you must start. You have not gotten ready to talk about 24-hour economy at all because the recipe to making the 24-hour economy is fiscal policy. You don't have that. It is your thing. I haven't seen it. And so when you were talking also, you talk about export-led import substitution strategy. That's the conversation you must have. And when you say that's the policy, then how do you drive that export production program? How do you achieve that import substitution? Then you have to drive industrialization in your country. So, Sammy, it's not as simple as just talking about things and making accusations and jumping about. The thing is crisp. It's visible, it's manageable. What you, the lawyers, say is fundamental in this case, that you can't put something on nothing. You can't create or promise Ghanaians you want to do 24-hour economy when you have not shown us the policy, okay? Fiscal policy, everything you talked about, this whole thing about 24-hour is a fiscal policy matter. What are the propositions in that domain? What is your policy there? Then you tell us the policy, we vet the policy, then we know that based from here, we are going to be able to get there. So please, for your own sanity, stop talking about this 24-hour economy as if it's a product you go and carry. No, it's a realization based on how you have stimulated the economy for production and people's connection to the demand availability. If Good Morning, everyone said Metro TV had not designed Good Morning Ghana, we will not be sitting here today, okay, discussing this program. Probably you'll be somewhere else, I'll be somewhere else. But because this program existed, okay, we are here today. So you have to build a foundation. You have to have a foundation to build. So I mean, I don't know how simple I can make this for you and your party. Because look, let me just read one of the things that you have here. It said what? Implement a 24-hour economy strategy, okay, with 3 shifts of 8 hours each to maximize productivity and efficiency. You know, that's not what is going to maximize productivity. That's not. The 24-hour is not going to. You implement policies that create the opportunity for people to leverage the opportunity and engage into production. In other words, what you're talking about is completely, unreal. It's just not something that happens. It's a big lie. Complete big lie. I mean, the biggest scam in all political promise in the world anywhere. You cannot jump to the end before you come to the beginning. That for me is just not practical.
Are you saying that there cannot be a 24-hour policy? We cannot have a policy which is about a 24-hour economy. Is that your proposition? Is that what you are saying?
Okay, I can answer your question, but I want to ask you, 24-hour economy to do what?
No, just answer the question because I'm listening to you.
Yes.
And I keep hearing you say that it cannot be a policy. You cannot have a 24-hour policy.
I didn't say that.
What did you say?
What I'm saying is not a primary policy consideration. It's a product of policy that you implement. So it's a product of your fiscal policy that creates the aggregate demand that the production would grow around it.
So are you suggesting that you cannot have a 24-hour policy which is premised on doing A, B, C, D? So I'll give you an example. You know, he mentioned the issue about the UK and night
talk, yeah.
So I'm sure that you are familiar
Right.
with the UK experience. There are places where bus service, train service closes at a particular
Certain
point
points,
in time.
yes.
Okay. So in developing the 24-hour economy, one of the things that the policy formulators realized was that to push that policy, to facilitate it, you needed to have, for example, public transport run 24/7. You cannot have a situation where the bus service and the train service do not go to those areas, because you also need the facilitation of transportation of human beings and others to be able to engender that thing you're talking about. So in the 24-hour policy, you would find the running of those lines 24/7. So those lines that close at say 9 p.m. or 10 p.m., that they now will run beyond that period, so that persons will be able to move into those areas in order to facilitate what they intend to do in those particular areas.
Right.
Yes.
But see, so everything you have said, the simple answer to that is that, look, it's like you're trying to kickstart demand, right?
Stimulating demand.
Yes, kickstart, stimulate demand.
Yes.
Now, you must realize that you operate a free market.
Yes.
It is not government that is in charge of the economy. So if you have that policy to do 24-hour economy, it must be appealing to me, the business person, subject to the availability of the demand for what produce that I make, right? To be able to say that, okay, well, there's a market for me. I take that incentive. I'll be able to go ahead and meet the market demand. Even if you give me electricity at 10 cedis for all throughout the night, and I can stay up in the night and produce, having produced in the daytime, or I can produce in the night, and there is no demand for the product that I'm producing, I won't take it. What you then would have is that because daytime tariff is higher than the nighttime, we'll not produce in the daytime, we'll choose to produce in the night, because practically the demand is not there. So what I'm saying is
suggesting that people go into business only on the basis of existing demand and not potential demand?
Potential demand, but your expansion of production is directly related to the demand in the market. So you can come up with an ingenious idea to say that you want to bottle water. Before we had sachet water, or the water that they tie with hands, or the water we drink from the cup. People made lips, but those lips, as you know, in scientific research, you stay close to the literature. So you stay close to reality to say that now people drink water, not only in their house, but when they're on the road, they need water. So first we were selling it in cups. But after a while, we saw that was not hygienic.
So
I'm coming. So it's not hygienic. So maybe we should put it on some rubber. And those rubber came. And then people were thinking about it. Still, people are drinking water. Maybe that water that we put in the bag, people just fetch it in their bucket and just pour it, and they're dead. You can see it. Those days, you can see the particles in the water. So people say, well, why don't we filter it and make sachet water? That became the big idea. So it's a progressive growth in transforming. But when you say you are going to do that, without showing us how you are leaping, and your leap is quantum, such that it departs from the progressive development that is real, that you're saying that, okay, when imagine that 2025 January 1st, some party wins government, and then boom, 24-hour comes. You can't lie into a baby like that. How is that going to happen? They just call the producers, manufacturers, and say, everybody, now start producing 8 hours. Employ people 8 hours, 3 shifts a day. How do you need to have a conversation like that? It's just not realistic. It's not realistic.